If you're Shadore Sanders, you're sitting in that dorm room in Berea, the same kind of dorm room where generations of NFL hopefuls have sweated, dreamed, and wondered if the system really wants them. You're looking at the television and seeing the Cleveland Browns owner go on camera and basically confess that he never even thought about drafting you, that if someone had told him on Friday night you'd be a Brown on Saturday, he'd have laughed in their face. Imagine that moment. You're a rookie. You've already been judged, doubted, picked apart, and now the man who owns the team you're supposed to fight for publicly says you weren't even part of his plan. That's not just doubt. That's humiliation. That's national television shame. And that's the reality Shadore Sanders walked into. The Cleveland Browns didn't just disrespect him, they cut him down before he could even put on a jersey. And the way it happened tells us this is bigger than football, bigger than one draft pick. This is about Deion Sanders, about the NFL, and about how outspoken black men are still treated when they refuse to play by the rules of silence. Because let's be honest, this wasn't just about Shadore's mechanics or tape or competition. This was about his last name, about his father, about a system that never forgave Deion Sanders for being too loud, too proud, too unapologetically black. The NFL didn't draft Shadore Sanders, they drafted Deion's son. And they made sure to humble him the very first chance they got. Jimmy Haslam, the billionaire face of the Browns, didn't whisper it in private. He announced it to the world. He wanted distance. He wanted everyone to know if Shedeur didn't work out. It wasn't on him. If Shedeur somehow thrived, the credit wouldn't land on Haslam either. That's cowardice in its purest form. That's how politics bury careers before they even start. Shedeur wasn't just a fifth-round pick fighting long odds. He was a marked man in a league that resents his father's swagger, and by extension, resents him. Stephen A. Smith said it best. This wasn't unprofessional, it was destructive. Because when you're drafted late, what you need most is belief. You need people in the building fighting for your reps, your opportunities, your growth. But instead, Shedeur got an owner basically saying, "Don't look at me, I didn't want him." And Louis Riddick, a man who sat in those NFL draft rooms, exposed the lie at the heart of the NFL's meritocracy. The best players don't always play. Politics matter. Relationships matter. And when you don't have a voice in the room pounding the table for you, you become a name on the depth chart, an afterthought, a piece of property without a future. That's what makes this story so much heavier. This isn't just one quarterback's challenge. This is the weight of history. Because the NFL has smiled in the faces of black quarterbacks for decades while building walls behind the scenes to keep them boxed in. Shadore Sanders is being boxed in right now. He's getting 3 reps a day in practice. 3. That's not a competition, that's sabotage. And the same media machine that pretends to love quarterback battles is feeding the narrative that maybe he's just not ready, maybe he needs time. Time? Shadore Sanders was projected as a top 2 quarterback before the politics of the draft humbled him. He's got better stats than most of the names that went ahead of him. More composure, more poise, more leadership. He's been under brighter lights with louder scrutiny, and he's answered every time. But now, instead of reps, he gets sidelines. Instead of belief, he gets suspicion. Instead of development, he gets distance. This isn't about talent. This is about punishment. This is about a league that couldn't stomach Deion Sanders bringing cameras, culture, and confidence into spaces they still believe belong to the quiet, compliant type. They didn't just draft Shedeur late, they drafted him to prove a point. To say to Deion Sanders, know your place. And the cost of that message is a young quarterback's future. Look at the contrast. Eli Manning literally told a team not to draft him. His family flat out refused to let him play in San Diego. And what happened? His draft stock didn't fall. He got exactly what he wanted, was treated like royalty from day one, and walked into a franchise that handed him the keys. Shadore Sanders? He walks in with superior production, media polish, maturity beyond his years, and instead of being embraced, he's mocked, minimized, and publicly disowned by his owner. If he were white, the narrative would be different. Period. This is about race. This is about power. And this is about a league that has never been comfortable when black athletes dare to carry themselves with the same confidence, the same entitlement, the same expectation of respect that white athletes receive by default. That's why Stephen A. called it what it is, a hit job. Shedeur didn't fall to the 5th round because Part 2 of this story is not about denial anymore, it is about exposure. Because once the Cleveland Browns' owner went on record to distance himself from Shadore Sanders, the mask came off and the whole NFL could see the truth for what it was. You cannot claim to believe in a player while simultaneously announcing to the world that you never wanted him. That's not just bad optics, that's sabotage. And this sabotage didn't start on draft night. It started years ago with the NFL's fractured history with outspoken black quarterbacks. It started when Warren Moon was forced to play in Canada before being good enough for the NFL. It continued when Randall Cunningham was described as an athlete first and a quarterback second. When Donovan McNabb's critics said he ran too much. When Cam Newton's smile and confidence were portrayed as arrogance. And when Lamar Jackson, an MVP, was told he should be a wide receiver. The NFL has a long track record of undermining black quarterbacks who refuse to bow their heads. And Shadore Sanders is just the newest chapter in that story. He is a quarterback with numbers, with poise, with leadership, and with the lineage of greatness. But instead of treating him like an asset, Cleveland has treated him like a burden. That's not coincidence. That's design. Let's rewind. Before the draft, analysts were split on Shedeur. Some had him top 2, some had him late first round, some said maybe second. But fifth round is not about skill. Fifth round is about punishment. That was the NFL telling Deion Sanders, you may have stolen the spotlight at Colorado. You may have built one of the biggest college football stories in decades. But in our house, we still decide who matters. And so they made Shedeur wait, made him fall, and made him wear the scarlet letter of overhyped. Then Cleveland compounded it. Instead of embracing him, instead of using his buzz to rally the fan base, they threw him to the side like a spare part. 3 reps in practice. That's not a developmental plan. That's a burial. That's telling a man to compete in a marathon, but tying his shoes together before the gun fires. How is he supposed to succeed when the system is designed for him to fail? That's why Stephen A. Smith called it foul, destructive, and disgusting. Because this isn't just about football ability, it's about intent. The Browns never intended to give Shedeur a real chance. And when intent is poisoned, opportunity never comes. Louis Riddick confirmed the quiet part. Meritocracy is a myth. The NFL runs on relationships, politics, favoritism, and narrative control. If the general manager isn't pushing you, if the head coach isn't invested in you, if the owner isn't proud to call your name, then your career is already on life support before it even begins. And that's exactly where Shedeur finds himself right now. But here's the twist the NFL didn't see coming. This humiliation doesn't destroy the Sanders brand. It strengthens it. Because for every door the league tries to close, Deion Sanders finds another way to kick it open. And Shedeur, watching his father fight battles his entire life, is not going to crumble because a billionaire with a microphone tried to erase him. He's going to use it. He's going to let every doubt, every slight, every limited rep fuel him until the moment he gets unleashed. And when that happens, the same league that buried him will have to explain why they ever doubted him in the first place. But make no mistake, the Browns are playing with fire. You don't draft a young man into your organization only to humiliate him publicly. You don't take a quarterback who has already proven he can handle the spotlight and then deny him the basic reps needed to compete. Because when the story comes out, and it already has, the public sees exactly what's going on. The fans see the sabotage. The media sees the politics. And Shadore Sanders becomes bigger than the Browns' depth chart. He becomes a symbol of the double standard. And history tells us symbols don't stay quiet for long. Think about the greats who were doubted. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, overlooked, ignored, dismissed. But when he got his chance, he became the league's biggest nightmare. Now imagine a quarterback with Tom Brady's chip on his shoulder, but Deion Sanders' DNA in his veins. That's Shedeur. That's the storm the NFL is pretending isn't coming. And let's be very real. The Browns won't be the team that benefits when that storm hits. Because every day they keep him sidelined, every rep they deny him, every public statement that distances them from him, they're pushing him closer to another franchise. And the moment he gets that fresh start, the receipts will come back to haunt Cleveland. Imagine Atlanta giving him the keys. Imagine Denver desperate for a leader. Imagine Las Vegas betting on the swagger. Those are the places where Shedeur could thrive. Those are the cities where his style, his composure, and his Lee